Hi everyone, today I am continuing on with my Arctic Bears cards. I wanted to make a couple more before I put this set away and started on something else. I really have been enjoying it, so I keep making bear cards, but I'm just going to do a couple more, I promise. So this one, I wanted to kind of show a sponging technique where some, like maybe a ray of moonlight or something is shining on the bear. So this is sponging and masking, and so I thought we would play with this idea today. So I have a few colors here. I'm using a base in gray granite, and then I've got some basic white in 3 3/4 by 5, and then I made a matte piece just 1/8 of an inch bigger. Usually I do things in 1/4 inches, but I wanted just a tiny edge of black on this one so that there's more of that gray granite showing than normal. So this one is actually just 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So you've only got a small amount of matte on top of that. I also cut a strip of designer series paper. This is from the 6x6 designer series paper packs that come in the families of colors. So you've got an entire pack of patterns just in tone on tone in every color in this family. This is the neutrals color pack. So it's kind of nice to grab these packs of paper because that way you know you've got a background, a possible background for every color in that family. And I always grab every color family of that the second a new one comes out. Okay, so those are our paper pieces. I'm going to start with that white. Another thing you're going to need is a post-it note or something to create your masked off area. But first you're going to stamp the background, this little kind of landscape here. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and grab my post-it note. And you want to cut a nice little angle. You can use 2 strips of post-it note and do one side at a time. I kind of thought it might be easier if I just cut a kind of a angled triangle sort of shape. And I'll show you what I mean. Like that. And then I'm going to put it where I think the bear is going to end up, which is about here. And a tiny bit of my corner still shows through, so I'm going to add that there. Now you also need to mask off the mountain area here, this little landscape piece. I don't know if it's a mountain or a little piece of ice. I'm not sure what that is. Land area, land mass. And I made this from a previous video when I did the Northern Lights technique, so I still have this laying around. So it's just a post-it note. And someone asked a good question. They asked me, when I place a mask down, do I do it, you know, over or under? Where do you put it, or how do you cut it out? I cut it out right on the line, but when I'm placing it onto my mountain range, I go just inside of that stamped image. And that's because even though you think this paper is really thin, it is creating a little area where whatever you're using, sponge or blend, can't quite get up to, and you do get a thin line, a real skinny little line, so it kind of goes slightly inside your stamped image. And for this color I'm going to use Misty Moonlight. It's got a slight gray to it, and I like it with the gray granite. And I'm using a blending brush. You can also use sponges. Kind of load up your brush, and then I like to start off. I'm going to put this here just so I don't accidentally touch it. I like to start off the actual finished piece, like maybe on a little scratch paper or on my post-it note, before rubbing into the piece that's going to be finished, just so you don't get a harsh pounce line, which you can get, you know, like if you go like this, that little line, that little initial dab is kind of harsh and it doesn't really blend out. Alright, there's one side. And now we're going to come back and do the other side. And you're just going to keep doing that until you get it as dark as you want it. Alright, I think I've got it as dark as I want it to be. Okay, now I want to go ahead and do something with my landscape here. So I'm going to add a little bit of gray granite and some maybe Pool Party or Balmy Blue. Let me see what I've got here. So I'm going to take the gray granite and I am just going to kind of go along, actually I want the thinner tip. This is the light gray granite, and I'm just going to kind of go along on the, I'm sorry, smoky slate. I meant to grab gray granite. And I grabbed smoky slate. That one's gray granite. That's okay, I think the bear is going to cover this area. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of go along this little edge here where it's like the underside of the snowdrift kind of thing, and darken that up a little bit. Now the water here, I'm not going to worry about because it's going to get covered by Designer Series paper. So I've got some darkness here. And then I'm going to come back in with my Balmy Blue. And just give it a little bit of accent. Frosty, snowy color blue. Just like that. Okay, and then on our background here, I'm going to splatter some Winkostella to give it some sparkling stars. So I'm just going to take my Winkostella pen and I just kind of squeeze it slightly so that the tip gets some of that fun glittery ink on it, or whatever that is. And then I just kind of flick it. You can see I do this a lot. The inside of my brush is kind of full of glitter. I'm kind of trying to avoid the mountainy area and just getting the top. So I've got a really nice shimmer on there. And then if you want, you can take your pen and add some larger dots carefully and don't go too crazy, but you just want to have a little bit of variety. You can squeeze the barrel and get this really wet and throw some dots on there, but I like to be a little more controlled. Sometimes, depends on what kind of mood I'm in. I think that's good. Trying to be random. If you're really good, you can maybe put a Big Dipper or something in there. Okay, so now I just need to make a bear. So just grab a scrap of white and I'm going to stamp my bear in black. I'm going to add some color to the bear before I cut it out. I kind of feel like it's easier because the paper's big and I can hold on to it and I'm not trying to move it around. And all I'm going to do is add the same colors that I added on the little rocky surface here. So I've got light gray granite, and I'm just going to darken the shadowy areas, like, you know, where his different legs go under his body and they cast a shadow onto his body, little tufts of fur. I just didn't want it to be so flat with the without adding any color, so I'm just adding the tiniest bit. The creases of his feet. You can kind of tell where to add color based on how the artist depicted the fur here. Alright, and then I'm going to throw in a tiny bit of that balmy blue. Okay. Alright, let's cut it out. Oh, it's too wide. I'm really enjoying this little mini cut and emboss machine. So super nice because it fits right here and I can just leave it. Normally I have my bigger one is on a little table across from me, so I have to stand up and move, whereas this, I just plop it right here. I can't see the plates though. Here they are. Okay, so you've got your bear and the die. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put down my scrap of designer series paper. Now I cut this at 1.5 inches. I'm sorry, 1.25 inches. And I think it's a little tall for, actually, now that I think about it, I think I used a piece of paper that wasn't quite big enough, but I wanted to use it anyway because I knew it would be covered. So maybe I don't have to trim this. I don't. Okay. Phew, I'm glad I remembered that. So this is 1.25 inches, and had this been the correct size, I found a scrap that was so close to being right, and I didn't want to not use it because, you know, I don't like to be wasteful. Oh, it's a hair too big. So like a little skinny. Anyway, I didn't want to not use it, so that is what is going on there. So how I'm going to place it is, so when you place your mountain, make sure you put it up enough to where you can get your strip of designer series paper at the bottom. I kind of think it anchors it a little bit. And I'm glad that I remembered that I used, see what I mean? My white wasn't quite big enough, but I knew it would be covered, so I went with it anyway. But when you cut yours, you cut the right size. Or unless you have one that also is super close. Okay. There we go. And then I can just kind of place this down where it belongs. Very nice. Okay, and now we have this gray granite satin trim. It's called Shimmer Ribbon, and it goes perfectly with my shimmery stars. So I'm going to go ahead and tie it, and I'm going just for a knot. I think that I am decided that this card is kind of masculine, so I decided not to do a bow. I mean, not that you can't do a bow on a masculine card, you totally could, but I don't know, I'm going for simple. I went slightly too long there. Okay. And I like to put a glue dot behind my knots just so they stay exactly where I want them to be. There we go. And I'm going to place that on my gray granite piece. And then I've already made an inside panel as well. It's exactly the same as the outside panel, only without the sponging and stamping, and it's got the black layer 1/8 of an inch bigger than the inside. Okay, but I'm going to place this one down with dimensionals. I want it to pop up just a little bit off the page. And then all I need left is the sentiment. There we go. And where's the bear? Here he is. I forgot to put him down. So I want him to kind of be in that moonlight. And he can go over the ribbon. Maybe he's standing on the ribbon. I don't know. I think I kind of want him to be. Just for fun. Okay, there is my bear. And then my sentiment, I'm just going to put on a little strip of gray granite. So this is kind of a fast and easy card. But I think it has a nice wow factor. It doesn't look like a fast and easy card. At least I don't think it does. I think it has a nice little bit extra. Gonna flag the end. I don't know. There we go. I think it's really cute. I think that the polar bear kind of staring off into the night sky has a perfect for the thinking of you. So if you haven't seen my other polar bear cards, I have another video using the northern lights, and I have another video using this kind of galaxy sky technique. I hope you'll take a look at them. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!